Today, we're talking about female leadership with two top-performing businesswomen. Matt, you should do that for our lives.
Girl, you better get good at that. You do it quick, too.
Oh my God, am I just bleeding money right now?
I was just curious to what it said.
I'm bougie about my swimsuits.
Pro tip.
It's like fun and sexy to talk
I'm
about.
like mind blown right now.
You just gotta let them go.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
All right, Lisa, Becca, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. I am amazed with how much you have both built. So today I just wanted to explore kind of the history that led you to building your businesses, how you've handled success. I'm curious how you navigated social media. I'm curious how you handle both the haters and the people who believe in you. And what achievements are you both most proud of?
I'm just really proud of the impact that we've been able to have, not only through the companies, but also in providing jobs for staff members and just the level of impact that we have within the community.
Lisa, tell me, what are some of the businesses that you've built?
So I started in law doing business litigation and business bankruptcy, and then transitioned to become an entrepreneur. So we have Sin City Cupcakes, Ingle and Vokers Real Estate, Liquid and Lace, and Ship Las Vegas. Those are companies I've co-founded. I'm invested in a few others as an angel investor, and I'm also a GP on a venture capital fund called the Veteran Fund.
Wow. All right, Becca,
Whoa.
you're next. What's your biggest achievement in life so far?
Well, I'd have to say my two kids to start off
Oh my,
with.
yeah, for sure. That's
So
huge.
I just feel like just how they're raised late. They're 8 and 6. So they're just turned into a little independent. And then my swim line is named after my daughter, lainsnow. So
Oh.
my plan for her is to take it over and, be the CEO. So that's probably like my biggest accomplishment together is for seeing that.
Like, are you kind of grooming her? Are you like, here's all the things, please take over?
She
Does
designed
know?
the kids from the get-go because she loves long sleeves, like rash guards. So like she only wears those types of suits. So I was like, all right, well, we'll start with that. And then she slowly, as she's grown up, she's like, okay, I can do like a sleeveless. And then we're working on like a high-waisted little girl
that's so
bikini.
good.
But she's highly involved. Like she'll let me know the colors she likes, stuff she likes. She photographs. She's like, can knock and pose out in like 5 seconds. So I'm like, damn, I wish I could do that. But she's definitely going to run it. So
Dang.
for my poor son, I'm like, he's wakeboarding a little bit. So maybe he'll go that route.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, yeah, the dynamic. He's like, I'll just be a wakeboarder.
Yeah. But I think just the whole flow as a whole. I started out as a travel blogger. So I feel like just that starting that travel with swim and family is just all turned into like our lifestyle. So it's very easy to just go with the flow and market the swimsuits with our lifestyle.
Yeah. So I guess you found your work-life balance. And it's
Yeah.
more just like keeping it all glued together.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to pay the kids in like toys a couple
Yes.
times. So it's kind of like,
Dang, man.
what do y'all want from Amazon today? We have to go take some shoots. But
That's good. Tax-free mostly. Mm-hmm. Give them part
I
of the
pay
toys.
them.
Yeah,
you can pay
them
up to
like
12,750.
yeah,
I see it
but
in
I know
both of
there's
their
like
bank
a
accounts
threshold.
every day, and I'm like, y'all are gonna get a car.
Listen, you guys should not have that toy that is over my tax limit for this year.
Yeah, I made the mistake of being like, I'll pay you for shots, like let them know like they're getting paid for this, and then they want access to their. I'm like, y'all are so young. No way you're getting access to credit cards right now.
When are you going to let them get on TikTok? Or are they?
Oh, Lainey's like highly involved on my TikToks.
Really?
But TikTok's so crazy. Like I've had 4 accounts because they don't like children in swimsuits. I don't know with your swimsuit business if you've done TikToks or what not, but like mine get flagged left and right.
Oh, interesting.
And then I've had accounts deleted. They brought it back months later, but
Weird. Just because you want your kids in swimsuits and they just aren't.
yeah, just smart. They're just like
At it.
TikTok's so strict.
Lisa,
That's crazy
who are
out
you?
there.
Who are you grooming to take over your businesses?
Well, so I have partners
Public-
in all of
oh.
my companies.
I thought you were going to say your dog. You're so cute.
You're a puppy.
Your puppy. It's okay.
poodle.
Yeah, your partners. You're grooming them. to
Well,
take
I
it
know
over.
we have, obviously within our operating agreements, we have, kind of worst case scienarios, what happens if someone gets
Yeah.
hit by a bus or something. But no, I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of build and hold. I think for a while, maybe still is, it was really trendy to like build a company that you have hopes to sell in 5 years, right? Flip it in like 3 to 5 years and have an exit and just like go on to the next thing. For me, I like all the companies that I have, and so I have a really long-term vision. I've always planned long-term, so I have a really long-term vision for all the companies that I build and that I get involved in.
Are you planning to I guess probably you're not obviously not planning to flip it if you're going to train your.
No, I mean, I love
you're
that
gonna
thought
build a family
process. I
thing.
mean, I have heard that like DC Shoes was bought out by Quicksilver. I need to see how many years that took. But if you look at DC Shoes, you would have never known that. They still kept the brand, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So you'd
if
be
that
open to a
opportunity, I'd be
partnership
open
like
to
that?
it if like a Quicksilver or Roxy. But that is how I vision lainsnow is like snow/surf, kind of the Roxy feel of eventually maybe we'll make snowboards, surfboards, have houses in Hawaii for like pipeline and kind of compete with Billabong.
Okay, so let's talk about scale. So how did you get from just being kind of like somebody who can work on a project to having employees to having social media following to scaling it up into a business where you can actually have time alone and still make money?
I don't think I'm there yet. You probably
No?
are.
You still feel like you have to hustle all day?
I mean, it's just so new. We're like a year and a half or a couple months. We started in April 2021, right?
Whoa,
Like, where are we
super
these
new.
days? So it's just been like fast and very intense. And like I'm lucky again for like TikTok and having videos go viral. We did 2 million in sales in a year, and it's just like hiring people. I'm just starting to realize like I'm no longer like this individual contributor. Like it's fun until it's not fun sometimes, and you're like having to pay all these people every month, and then you're like, all right, with swimwear, we're going to fall and winter. Like now in my head is how many launches do I need to do every month to keep up this momentum and pay all these bills? And we're moving to bigger warehouses space. We're going to open up a storefront. And with that, it's just all these expenses. Like sometimes I'm like, God, am I just bleeding money right now? But I mean, as long as the
all pay
momentum
off.
stays, I try to do like so much on social media just to like keep the hype up.
Yeah.
Have you found it hard to delegate?
I have an awesome manager like my manager for the swim that I feel like is more strong than me, because I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. I need stronger people that work for me to like tell other people, I don't want to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to check my emails. And I'm like, I don't want to read direct, emails. What are people emailing about? It can't be good.
And how much of the stress do you share on social media? Do you kind of always
all
put
of
out a
it.
good front, or do you try to say like I'm like feel like crying, I have so much work to do, or do you just say
I
like,
mean,
no?
I'll do funny videos. Like when we did pre-orders and they were like 2 weeks late, I think I was telling you, I was like, people were coming out of the woodwork being like, oh, are you just traveling and spending all your pre-order money? Or where is my effing
dang.
suit? They just got crazy out to the point that I was like, I can't even look at emails right now. Like people will wait 6 months for furniture and you're freaking out about a bathing suit right now. It's like we have to be over communicative.
Yeah, because they're.
So I would do like clapbacks on TikTok with like that stuff, but it's like
Wait, what's a clap? Can you Google that?
A
What do you mean
clapback?
Clap back?
That's just when you.
it's
when you
just
clap back.
someone
Like
comes
like
at
like
you.
it's
A sassy response.
Yeah,
Oh,
you come
okay.
back.
Like if they troll you, you just like I'm not
Yeah.
spending your money on my.
But
What's
it's
a Ja
like
Rule
crazy
song?
because even though, like I'm standing up for myself or people
Yeah.
like to see it, like it gives me more anxiety when I do that type of stuff. So I like can barely sleep those nights. I'm like, all right, it's not worth it to like think, who am I
it's like
pissing
negative
off?
energy.
Who
Like,
am
I don't
like,
bother with that. You
I've
can't.
barely done
You can't.
any like
It's negative
really
energy.
negative. It's more like
Yeah.
I try and direct it back to me. Like when someone said something about the pre-orders being late, I was like, the audio I was like, should I have done this? Should I do this? Like, was this a mistake for me to do, guys, when y'all asked for it? So I put the blame back on me.
It's just a different chapter in your
Yeah.
business, right? Like, because once you start scaling, you go from being the operator, right, to now you become a manager. You start hiring people. You're
Right.
managing people.
I think what
right?
got you here won't get you there. It's a different hat.
It's a totally different hat, and the company changes from your first couple 100,000 in sales to first million, right? 5 million, 10 million. It changes every chapter, every step, and so you just have to know that that's coming.
And
you
I
just have to know
feel
that
like
it's
the bills
coming.
get bigger. And I like the fact that you're running 4 different companies. I'm like mind blown right
I
now.
know.
Well, we always forecast out, and I mean, we do OKRs every quarter. OKRs, you could probably just Google a template online. They stand for Objectives Key Results. And my business mentor actually told me I need to start doing OKRs for like my personal goals, like my
Like
personal life. But
Oh.
we do OKRs for the businesses, and it just helps to keep you on track. right?
For your personal life too.
Boost morale.
Matt, you should do that for our lives,
What?
for our business.
For your
They're
business,
really
Can you
helpful,
deliver
you
an
guys.
OKR?
They're
for
really
it?
helpful. So objectives, we usually pick four main ones, because otherwise there's too many, right? There's a zillion objectives that you could, quote, focus on for the quarter, right? So you've condensed it down to four, but then they're very, very specific. So let's say you have one objective of selling another, 200,000 swimsuits to 200,000 new customers, right? That might be one of your objectives. And so underneath that are your KRs, the key results of that 200,000. Where is that new audience coming from? Maybe you want 50,000 from TikTok, you want 50,000 from Instagram, and you want 50,000 from Pinterest or whatever, right? And so you build out those key results, and you make a note within there. It's on an Excel sheet. You make a note within the KR of how you're going to get 50,000 new orders from Pinterest. I'm just saying an example, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then you sit down with your managers, right? With like your high level people, and you go through this with them, and you make everyone claim boxes. You color code it, and you make everyone start claiming key results or taking ownership over whatever that's going to be. And the crazy part is, when everyone just does their key result, guess what? You hit your
Immediately.
objective,
Oh,
right? You
okay.
hit
Good
your
idea.
objective.
So it helps you break it down into components and kind of watch where help needs to be. And like
So
where
there's
effort
already
needs
like
to
a
go.
set metric. Yeah. So it's already set metric. So you already have a deadline at the end of the quarter, right?
Yeah.
You already have a very tangible, like, what exactly do we want to accomplish? And then, like I said, underneath the key result is really breaking it down. So if it's going to be 50,000 new orders from Pinterest, how many do you need to get in a week, right? You break down, how many do you need in a month? How many do you need in a week, right? How many do you need daily? Like, you just keep breaking it down into like little chunks, and then whoever has claimed that box,
They're
they need to take
responsible
care of
for
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you thinking of your 5-year or 10-year plan right now? Like, how do you just written in a notebook, or do you kind of have like a system?
It looks
or-
like I'm going to start doing these
Yeah.
OKIs.
No, it's true.
OKRs, yeah,
Oh.
do them. They're great. I had a mentor teach me this method. There's a ton of methods out there, by the way, but this method, he taught me this maybe like 7 years ago, and it was definitely a game changer for me, because otherwise, we were just we were flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
We were like
Right,
making
right.
Every
money,
day.
and we were like so excited.
Did
and
you
that was kind of
use
it.
Shopify? And like we had the label printers, and I swear every launch something goes wrong. It's
Right.
like the Shopify site's not working, or a printer's not working, or because it's just all in your
And
hands.
since it
I'm
all
like,
comes
people have
together,
no
one little
idea
thing
that
can
every
ripple.
piece has to go right on launch days for it to be
know.
super smooth.
I know. But that's awesome.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
good to hear, though.
you're starting on your journey, and like this is the time for you to like make all the mistakes, and you keep making mistakes, by the way, but like this is the time for you to just like soak it all in and like learn as you go.
Actually,
and
was like, oh, I already missed the first year. It's getting harder.
it just changes, right? The company
Yeah.
changes the larger you scale. So it's
Right.
it's like fun and sexy to talk about, hitting these big numbers,
Yeah.
right? But it actually does change the company. And so you do end up meeting a lot of founders who are like, God, I missed like the first 6 months when
I
it was just
know.
like
Yeah. We were
small and crazy.
Exciting.
Exactly.
And now I'm
yeah.
like, I don't ever want to have to fire somebody. Like, I'm getting nervous to get to there.
Girl, you better get good at that. And do it
that's
quick,
why I'm
too.
hiring people
Dang.
Rip
to
the
do
Band-Aid.
that.
Better get good. You just gotta let them go.
Yeah.
That's how, when you have to let someone go, that's how quick it is for you. You just say, hey, can I,
I
see
mean,
you
do
in
you
my office?
handle it, or
You-
does your
Hi.
manager handle it?
You have to do it quickly. So it depends on the company.
But you fired people.
Yes. Yeah, I've had to. And it's unfortunate, right? Because we try to go hard in relation to like, it's actually like for a cause. Like, there's been an egregious act that's happened that like you're not coming back from. Like, you have to go,
Yeah.
right? And so it's swift. And actually, I learned it working at the law firm, because especially in a place like a law firm, you're dealing with very sensitive information as well, right? People's social security numbers, obviously
true.
legal matters and stuff, private confidential items. And so when someone is terminated there, and again, if it's like a quick for cause, like something has happened, I mean, they shut off your email. It's fast, right? There's
Right.
no like, oh, well, try again. And we don't want to hurt your
Right.
feelings. And
Second chance.
Don't worry, come
But
back
you've gotta
for the
go.
exit interview. No, like,
Oh, yeah.
you're done here. You got to go. Here's your severance. Here's what you're signing off on. And like, you can either take this or not.
How often have your employees turned around from you thought, this is not a good fit, I bet they're not going to last, but then they actually did because they got the right training versus you being correct early on and just cutting it off?
I'd say maybe there's like been 2 or 3 times more on the retail side. So whether that's with the bakery or even with our shipping stores, where we've had staff that had very like minor slip ups, like mistakes were made, right? Yeah. Unintentional mistakes were made. But the problem is when it becomes a repeated behavior where you're just like, dude, like you're not getting it. Why are you not getting this?
Right.
Am I not providing more information to you? Am I not like delivering it to you in a way that makes you understand?
Do you just not care enough to want to fix?
Exactly. Or are you not making any effort and you're being lazy about it? Like, it's such a small, nimble team. Like, we need everyone putting in effort.
Right.
Now, do you prefer to pay people W-2 or 1099s?
So it depends what phase they're in, and also the business, right? So with the real estate brokerages, obviously all of our agents are 1099 independent contractors. And with like the retail side of the businesses, we start everyone when they're training as 1099 independent contractors, and that'll be for their training period and then a 90-day probationary period, because we need time to figure out if they're going to be a good fit and vice versa, right?
It's so different once they're employees,
Yeah, and so then once that probationary period is in, they pass that probationary period, and they know all these like periods too. It's like in their new hire paperwork. Then we'll switch them to W-2 because I hate paying taxes. I hate paying payroll taxes. Like, I don't want to do it unless I have to. And when you switch someone to W-2 as an employer, you're paying half their payroll taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're making an investment into them by making them a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
So they have to be the right fit.
Right. And you also want to set it up so they sort of feel a sense of thankfulness and a sense of ownership when they finally do become employees.
Yeah, like you're an employee.
Yeah,
right?
like you made it past your probation. Obviously, we've learned to trust you more, and now we want to invest more into your future. What about plans for their future? Do you set aside money for, probably not a pension, but like something, I don't know, like 401k or?
Yeah, well, we asked them, like, what would you prefer, right? So it's either like you can do a healthcare stipend. 401k is just not popular for whatever reason, at least just among, in what we do with the businesses. And I will say, pro tip, if you hire military spouses, you don't have to pay for their health insurance.
Pro tip.
Love to
Ding,
hear
ding,
it.
ding.
Or people under 26. They're on their parents.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we just kind of ask, like, what's
you
your
work
preference?
it out individually. Gotcha.
And some people are just like, I just want flexibility, right? Because we also offer that as like part of their like concessions of like, you have the ability to call out 24 hours before and it's not going to be an issue or whatever.
So what about progression? What is your response when somebody says, like, I've been here a while, I don't feel like I'm doing well at what I'm doing, but I need to grow in my skill set and meet new people? How do you handle progression in your
We really
companies?
try hard to like groom from within, and so we always make it clear, look, like, for as far as you want to go on the advancement side, like, we're here to support that, but like, we aren't mind readers, so like, you have to let us know when like you're kind of hitting that point, right? But it'll show organically. Like, the leaders in your company will like show themselves, right? It just happens because you can just tell, right? They're proactive. They're gonna think like an owner, if that makes sense. They're gonna like be thinking the way that you're thinking, and you're like, that's exactly what I thought, right? As far as like I said, being proactive or like in a response to a customer or something like that. And so the leaders will show themselves. I've seen that time and time again.
Do you think that you have a good sense for the kind of people who might just be louder but not actually contributing as much? Like, you know how there's sort of a subtle culture where sometimes people who take credit for other people sometimes move up the chain a bit more, or do you feel like you've somehow... We filter hard for collaboration, right? We filter really hard for like good culture fit across everything, especially within our real estate brokerage, for example. The majority of our agents actually are female, and they're like strong women too, like strong female personalities, and they all get along. Like, we actually are very collaborative, and they're all like strong, dynamic women, which, from the outside or maybe stereotypically, people would be like, whoa, that's got to be like catfight, and it's actually not, and it's because we filter so hard for that collaboration component, and like really just like what kind of leader are you? Like, are you someone who's going to take credit for someone else's work, or are you going to be like pushing the team forward and like, almost like humbling yourself even though like it's your time to shine? So like, it's so funny. We have this like Facebook Messenger group chat that we're all in, and
like, you know, when one of the girls like gets something under contract, everyone's like, oh my God, I mean, we're like all chiming in.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's like so nice. Like, it's really, really cool.
Have you
So
started
I'm super
thinking
grateful.
about that? Like, do you have something set up to kind of establish a friendship group or culture group at your company, or are you not quite to that
Not
level
there.
yet?
My town, Ocean Isle Beach, is so small. So like everyone that has worked for me is like babysat my kids for years, or
Oh,
you
so
know,
it's
have
like-
done
oh, it's like
parties,
really
or
built
like
in.
it's their significant other helping package. Like it's just all our friends right now.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're really like, it's very, very, it sounds very, very organic. So like, hold on to that as much as you can.
Yeah.
Right. Because as you grow, it will change.
I
Right. And you're
know.
going to be, as a business owner, you're going to be looking for ways to minimize your costs. You're going to be looking for ways to, you know, keep growing at the pace that you are. Like, you know, the company changes.
You know, it's just so crazy. I feel like in this last year, I've had consultants and different types, like designers, main consultant, people that do the emails that I just contract, and they've all like increased their rates or doubled them. And it's like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Are y'all just following inflation, or do y'all just see that we're doing well, or do y'all just all of a sudden people are paying you more, and you're telling? And I'm just like, how am I supposed to keep up?
If you can, and those are different types of services, but if you can, I like to really tie everything to revenue and profit.
Okay.
So I'm happy to pay. If we're growing gangbusters and we're literally pocketing more money, I'm happy to pay more, right? But when it's just kind of a set hourly cost, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you know, they're not incentivized to
Right.
grow with you, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to get that long-term alignment so that you can kind of trust that in their own best interest, they don't want to jump ship or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you surprised do you think like America's GDP would go up if it was more close to 50-50 for those, like how many women ran Fortune 500 companies? Or do you think that that's probably just the way it shakes out with the way people want to promote leadership?
I mean, I think representation is extremely important, but I think even more importantly is metrics. Like there has to be, okay, so only 21, right? But like, even if you said, oh, it should be 50-50, well, like I want leadership to be based on like the leadership qualities.
Exactly.
And if they're also a woman, like that's awesome too.
Right.
But like,
But that's not the
it can't-
that's not
you
the
can't
lens
just
you
be
want to make a
handing it-
decision.
Yeah, because that type of decision making trickles down to the rest of the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? So then like how are you supposed to hold these OKRs that you make, these metrics that you set, and people are like, yeah, but I thought we should be selling more blue swimsuits because they're not represented enough. And you're like, well, the customers are telling us they don't want blue.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
selling red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it has to be based on metrics. I think that's key component. And then I think a lot of it too is that, you know, women, sometimes we have to just take it upon ourselves to put ourselves out there for these positions because and I've done this, we always wait till we're like ready. And of course we're like never ready, right? And we'll talk ourselves out of opportunity. I've done it a million times.
Yeah.
I've done it a million times.
Okay, so the next stat that I want to talk about was a study showed that women were less likely to apply for jobs that they were underqualified for. So they found that more men would say, oh, I'll apply for a job even though I have like basically none of those skills. But women were less likely to say, oh, I want that job even though I don't have those skills. Why do you think women felt like they needed to have the skills that were requested before applying more than men?
I don't know if it's a confidence issue or what it is, but that's totally a thing. So as an angel investor, I've been pitched many times, right, over the past decade. And I have met female founders who they have a prototype, they've got 100 users already, they have a website, they have pre-orders. Like they're so ready, and they're like, well, I'm waiting for like my first whatever, right? And some sort of metric they've set to ask for money to raise, to do a pre-seed round. And I will meet male entrepreneurs who have an idea that they like talked about with their buddy last night at happy hour. And they have no shame in asking for $500,000, right? Like they're just like, dude, this is a great idea, you know?
Like, I need some cash. Let's get going on this.
Yeah, like, let's go. And like, I don't know if it's a confidence thing.
I
Or just
think
about
it
being
is.
Like,
wise.
I've never been like that. So
No?
I think, again, it's just the type of person somebody is.
Yep.
So you felt like you were on that same thing too? You don't think you've requested money before really you felt completely confident in how you would spend it?
Yeah.
Did you take out any debt
No,
for your company? Or
I started my company,
Oh.
I was an IT recruiter for 11 years. I worked for Amazon,
Whoa.
I worked for Equinix, and then recently Kong, like how you reminded me of the security when they let me go. They were literally like, shh, I couldn't even get it in the MacBook. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever been. I like, y'all want me to return this? I can't even use it. So I just felt like I never like really took no for an answer or thought I couldn't do something, and I just feel like it steered me in the right direction. If I fail, then I'll try a different way. And I worked those 2 jobs remote during COVID and saved up enough to invest in the start of the swim line. And since then, I've only snowballed it. Like put 20K in, made
Bootstrapped
40K,
it. Love
40K,
it.
Oh, you're
Awesome.
bootstrapped all the
put
way up.
300K in,
Yeah.
making 600K.
Same.
So I'm
Yep.
just like, I don't need y'all. I mean,
Yeah.
investors have emailed me like after the fact, and I want to be like, where were y'all at the very beginning?
Of course,
I don't
now that
need
they're like,
any
now
of
that
you,
you're
and
making
I
money.
don't want to owe anyone
You
any
could
money.
use them to scale later.
Yeah,
so I did the
that's what I was
exact same
gonna
thing. I self-funded and then I bootstrapped, and same thing. We get a lot of solicitation, and so my recommendation, and this is based on like mentors telling me
Yeah.
this too. They're like, be cordial and tell them you'll come back to them
Right.
at a later time, because there's a good chance you could use them later to like really scale.
Right.
Right. So
Which I'm curious about too, because it's like, do I?
it's like use it then,
wanna
because you're going to
scale?
have a more favorable valuation later, right? Than certainly in the beginning.
Yeah, so
Right.
because you have $2 million in revenue and you bootstrap the whole thing, so you're still 100% owner.
Yeah.
That's great. Hold on to that
Seems like
equity
a-
as long
For
as you
Laney.
can.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like Lisa would know better, but this might seem like a good time to take on a decent amount of debt now that you have a system established and just really blow up, right? Because you have.
Yeah, but
Or is
that,
that not-
like debt
I mean,
scares me.
I guess it kinda
like, I don't
depends.
want any debt at all. So I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Okay, just keep it.
I'll literally wholesale everything I have to not, have it. I don't know.
Okay, no,
that
that's
makes
good.
sense.
That's a
I
good-
like
that's a good
already feel like I
mentality.
have so much inventory because we're used to being sold out all the time. And then so I started ordering more for everybody, and then we just started doing pre-orders, and then over ordering the pre-orders. So now I have stuff sitting up there, and that gives me
Hate holding
anxiety.
inventory. Yeah.
Well, because in some sense, if you have debt and inflation is
Yeah.
happening, you're kind of on the winning side of that inflation, so it can kind of hedge some
Well,
of
that's
that risk.
where I want to
But
know
it kinda
too
depends.
about inflation, like increasing prices. My sister's an accountant. She's like, you should increase your swim prices right now, and I'm like, the customer is so used to my prices I feel like that'll really frustrate them,
Yeah.
know. So I
Pricing is
Like-
its own animal
Yeah.
for sure. But with debt, I mean,
Yeah,
I,
what's
I
your
think
opinion on corporate
leveraging-
debt?
I think leveraging debt is, for me, has been worthwhile when it comes to the real estate side.
Okay.
what about the retail?
Is that
side?
just because real estate? Yeah. Well, yeah.
So like it's just like a totally different like
Right,
it's such a
animal.
different-
yeah,
yeah.
Well-
as a totally different asset class, because with the businesses, I mean, if you bring on investors, they're going to want equity, right? They're going to want, they don't, no one wants to loan you money for
Right.
like an 8% return. Like no one
Yeah.
cares, you know what I mean? It's not interesting enough. They want a piece of the company.
Right.
And so you have to decide what type of strategic partner are they going to be able to be,
Right.
And like what doors can they open, because there could be some out there who are like,
Right.
I can get you on TV, I can whatever
Right.
it is, right? Like there's some sort of like other brand offshoot that you're like, okay, like that's a direction that we could go and we could play in that for the next 5 years, right? But like until someone interesting comes along,
Yeah, what's in it
it's
for
not,
me?
yeah, exactly. Hold on to your equities for as long as you can.
But if you're advertising and it seems like you can make more money than it costs, you want to scale that up as long as it's making sense, right? So in that case, you might want to. But anyways, what is your, for both of you, what's your thoughts on monitoring employees and trust? Like how much do you want to sort of be like, look, this is a company email and like I want to make sure I have access to like information about when you're like on the clock and when you're off the clock, or
Yep.
information about
That's a good
just
question.
generally speaking, your trust? Like how much autonomy do you like to give them versus?
Yeah, our company, I mean, we don't micromanage in the sense that like no one has like time trackers on their computers. Like, none of that's going on, because again, we set everything on
Yeah.
metrics,
Well,
right?
'cause
So
there's-
it's like
oh, I
if you're
see.
getting stuff done, I don't care if it took you 2 hours or if it took you 20 hours, right? Like just get it done.
It's results.
And it's results, exactly. And so if you hold them to metrics, I think that's the biggest concern is, are they hitting these metrics that are set in place?
So like the kind of software that can go out there and sort of identify if people are like looking directly at their computer and stuff. You want to
Cameras.
install any of that?
Who's
Like all of the
who's
new.
going to look for that? I don't have time to look at anyone else's computer except my own.
Yeah, I
don't know. Just as you scale out, sometimes
Yeah, it's industry,
people.
but I'm sure, maybe it's for some other industries, but certainly, real estate brokerage with the retail stuff, like we don't care what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you kind of know everyone you're working with so far. Like you said, they would babysit your kids, so you just generally have trust in them.
Over here, again, I look back as how I was treated as an employee and how I love my bosses and try and go off of that from when I was remote. And I didn't want anyone checking up on me. Like I got a million things to do.
That's crazy, yeah.
And if I can get it done at 7 p.m., I will, or I'll get it done at 7 a.m. Yeah. So again, I think it's results driven, and I literally don't care as long as you're working and getting it done. And I'm also like pro go to yoga in the morning. I don't care when you come in or when you leave, just let me know it got done.
On the flip side, have you ever gone to an employee and said, hey, like, do you mind just like taking some time to yourself? I feel like you're overworked and like you might be stressed, and in the long run this isn't going to be good for either of us?
No. I
Okay,
let them not come.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Maybe. Never.
That's a good problem.
What is remote?
Give me your life. Yeah.
And I'm so laid back that like some won't come in like half the day. They'll roll in at noon and leave like for a nail appointment at 2. Like who cares? They know that I'm just going on vacation.
Okay.
I even want to I'm getting our boat raft with lainsnow, and I'm like, I'd love for y'all like half the day be on the boat. Like y'all don't need to be in the office. I just want it more of like a outdoor lifestyle type of thing, because mental health and like emotional health, I know I'm going through it, is like very key. We can't just be inside all day.
Because Lisa, you're almost known as like a notoriously hard worker, so I'm sure some of your employees feel like they always have to be at your level. Do you kind of say like, as long as you're getting stuff done, don't try to like be on all the time? Or are you just kind of like, hey, I'm just building a team of people like me, and like we all better be like these top 1% hustlers?
We filter hard, especially within the real estate brokerage. Like we really filter for people who are hungry. Like I want to hear the hustle. I want to hear the fire. I want to know your why. Like why are you in this industry, and like why are you working?
Right.
Why is this career important to you? What are you trying to build? So we filter hard for that. But when you're saying, telling someone to like, hey, like, breathe a little bit. One of our amazing agents and advisors, and she handles a lot of my personal deals. Her name's Belinda. She's amazing. But she's like, you send an email and she's like responding right back. And it's whether it's 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever it is. Meanwhile, she's got 3 kids and a husband and a household and like kind of all the things too. But she's like cranking. And so, I've told her more than once. I'm like, how can I help you? I'm like, can I send like a house cleaner to your house? You know what I mean? Like, how can I be helpful on like a tactical level to like help take something off your plate that, just because I know like she does it all, right?
Okay.
So we try to be helpful. We joke. We'll like send each other food gift certificates, because we're like, I know you didn't eat. You know what I mean? Like I know you didn't eat today because you've been running around all day. So like,
I just feel like that's something with Jen. That's something I feel like she's just so on all the time. I'm just like, have you eaten?
Did you eat today? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, even when she was like in school, they were like, could you just get like an A-? Like it might help just relax you. And it's like, nope, I'm going to Yale, Stanford, Harvard. I'm getting accepted to all of them. Like she just had that drive, and she still has it. And it's like sometimes
it's a personality trait.
Yeah, and I used to think that there was no limit to like how hard somebody could work if they were passionate about it. But I have come to the conclusion that like sometimes you need to like just go to bed and like get some sleep,
Yeah.
And then you just wake up wired all the time. How generally has social media played a role in your company since COVID versus like before that? Like how much different is it if you were starting today to use social media than when you've been doing stuff for 10 years? So it's not like TikTok was the #1 way to sell, cupcakes back then.
Right.
So what's different about today's social media landscape?
I think just there's more eyeballs, like more than ever before. Like people are on social media.
You think harder to build a business because it's more competitive, or easier because the powers are more democratized?
I think it's easier because there's so many users on it. The question is, what value are you bringing as someone who's posting, right? Because especially as a brand too. If you just like keep posting about your brand, like there's only so many. It's almost like you hit a ceiling. Like you have to figure out what other messaging, what other value can you be delivering to the audience, to the eyeballs, to get more eyeballs.
Okay, so in contrast, it seemed like when we were talking beforehand that you thought of your social media not as in like I need to provide value every post in the same way as like a company would with a product. You seem to provide value by being, I guess, just honest and real about the connection you have with or I don't know, like tell me about that, because it's not.
I just do it, videos of us traveling and leave it to someone to be like, who are you wearing? Where are your swimsuits
like,
from?
how did you get people so invested in sort of what I would think of as mundane details, but they love it?
With lainsnow, it was like immediately during COVID, I started it, and it was TikTok, and my mom passed away, so right before the swimline launch. So I've just had a lot of support around me, and I felt like a lot of friends, were reposting it, and I went viral on my own personal account about my mom passing away. So I had a lot of eyes right at the time of launch, and again, support. So I think it was just like everyone flowed over to lainsnow for the launch, and then everyone got the suits and we're like, wow, I love these. They feel like they're rib material,
and they're
like
connection
Spanx
with
and
the
high-waisted.
company.
They kind of look like the old Princess Diana, vintage suits. They like, wow, I love these, and just started coming back, and it was just kind of like a snowball effect, like tell your friends. And then I was Memorial Day last year, we live on Canal Street, so we were sitting on the canal, everyone's over for partying, and like the blue was my top seller and still is. I saw a girl coming on a boat on the corner,
and you're like,
and I had my phone, and I was shaking, and I was like, oh my gosh. Someone was like, she has your suit on, and you can hear it in the video. They're like, do you know her? I was like, no, I don't know her. And she's like passing by so fast in the
cool.
boat, and I was like, who are you wearing? And she turned around and she was like, lainsnow. And I posted that on TikTok, and it got like 2 million views within 24 hours, and my notifications
Such
for
a
the
human
swim
connection to
just
product.
skyrocketed.
Wow.
And that girl actually, like, I connected with and started like helping me package because she was local, but like everyone was like, oh my God, that's Hunter, like all the comments, and like people knew her and they were like, we love her. And I'm like, well, thank God somebody loves had the suit on. Can you imagine if like a villain had the suit on or something?
Oh, for sure.
No villain.
But
Super villain. Thanos comes by, he's like, I love those suits. Like,
so that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do TikToks every day, like 4 times a day. And just like, that's my thing now is like, we'll go out on the boat and like look for people in the suits, and like I'll film it and run up and like hug them and be like, oh my God. And like now everyone like will tag me, and it's just kind of like a huge community where like people have seen people in like the Caribbean wearing it and come up to them and be like, are you wearing lainsnow? So it's kind of like a fun thing.
So it was probably like a long time ago, but can you think back to the first time I guess maybe it was the cupcake company or something else where it existed and then you came across somebody using a product that you created in the world, or buying a cupcake or something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely with Sin City Cupcakes, like it was just.
Do you remember
like
the first time that you saw
surprising.
somebody like at like you went to a business and you're like, oh my God, that's Sin City Cupcakes, that's my company, but they had no connection to you?
Our first year
there.
in business in 2012, we had catered for Floyd Mayweather did his like for his foundation. He did this like spring into style event at the MGM. And we were that was like one of our biggest, like, it was our very first like big catering job.
Okay.
And so we went in to cater it, and it was just nice to like meet people. So myself and my co-founder, we were working the event, right? Because it was our first year in business. And we were working all the events ourselves, baking the cupcakes and then delivering them and then running the event yourself, right?
Yeah.
So we're over there like talking to people and being like, hey, have you had a cupcake, blah, blah, this and that. And it was just cool to meet locals who were like, oh my God, I've heard of this. And, like, we saw you guys on Fox News, and so I think just having that really local, the local community first was really special for us.
Like that 1,000 true fans concept, when you really have a real group that can scale it.
Yes, exactly.
So I want to hear everybody's favorite inspirational quotes just to leave the conversation today.
So this is a quote that my parents told me when I was really young, and it's always something that just stuck with me. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Oh, could you unpack
It's
that,
a
Matt?
good one.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Mine was from that Bossbabe account. Like, I saved it years ago, but it was said, money doesn't impress me, but how you got there does. Because I feel like, you're
that.
just growing up, you're always around maybe these trust fund babies, or like people that just have money and don't do anything with it. And it's just like, I don't care what's your vision, when I'm talking to you, or like, it just never impressed me. I'm just not a designer girl either, but I am bougie about my swimsuits.
Yeah, that's because that's your passion, and you're doing a great job at it. So All right. Well, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. That was really an interesting conversation. And I think you're both great entrepreneurs and will do great things in the future. So keep it up.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. You're free.